All right, that's our cue. All right, everybody, we'll go ahead and get started with the next session. I'd like to introduce you all to Shawn Farson. He's a retired U.S. Navy SEAL turned entrepreneur, investor, and workforce strategist based in San Diego, California. After 20 years of leading elite special operations teams and overseeing high-risk training, Shawn transitioned his leadership experience into the business world. He's the CEO and co-founder of Find a Fit, a career matching platform focused on helping veterans and career changers find the right fit using behavioral science and data-driven insights. In addition to leading a growing tech startup, Shawn is a real estate investor and currently serves as the director of investments at RFC Capital, where he works across the full life cycle of multifamily acquisitions and strategy. He's also a graduate student in real estate and a passionate advocate for veteran transitions. Shawn believes that while the mission may evolve, the mindsets remain. Hey, welcome, Shawn.
Thank you. Thank you, Ted.
So, you served for 20 years in the Navy, including time as a Navy SEAL. Can you tell us about your career?
Yeah, absolutely. When I came into the military, I actually tried to join the Marine Corps first. I wasn't let into the Marine Corps. I had a really troubled background, got in trouble with the law a lot, had misdemeanors and felonies piling up. At one point, even got robbed in downtown St. Louis at gunpoint, and really changed my life. Made me wake up and finally decided to join the military. So after I got turned away by the Marine Corps, I went to the Air Force, and they laughed me out of their office even harder. And it was a Navy recruiter that roped me in on my way out, and that Navy recruiter saved my life. Went in front of a judge for me, and I ended up coming in as a Navy Seabee. So I started out working on diesel engines and ice engines, and from there became a Navy rescue swimmer. My first command, I was pretty lucky. I got stationed down in San Diego, where all the special operations, naval special operations were, and I got exposed to it. I got a taste of it, and when I joined the Navy, I didn't even know what a Navy SEAL was. So I found out pretty quick when I was in Coronado what they were and what they were about. And I shortly after becoming a rescue swimmer, I got recruited to the Seabee dive team. So I went to Panama City, Florida for 6 months, went to dive school and learned underwater welding, underwater construction, and I spent 3 years up in Ventura as a underwater construction technician. So that took me till 2010. I was about 7 years in the Navy when I decided to go to BUD/S, and went back down to San Diego, made it all the way through the pipeline. 2010, I started. By November 2011, I earned my Trident. And subsequently from there, I ended up deploying 4 times as a SEAL, 1 time to United Arab Emirates, and then as part of a crisis response element, and then 3 times to Iraq. And then I wrapped up my career towards the end as a training cadre. So I was the leader of a training department that trained all the support personnel that support SEAL teams. So that kind of wrapped up my whole career. Now, while I was on active duty, I did a lot of things to help myself prepare for the transition and what was next. And I earned a bachelor degree back when I was going through my first Iraq deployment. And then after Iraq, I had a training command that I was a part of, and I had some downtime, so I worked on my education. As I went further along in my career and got closer to the end, I started investing in real estate. It was actually a life event that pushed me into real estate. I had my grandparents pass away, and they were completely upside down on their house, and no one in my family had any money or knowledge of real estate. And I just took it upon myself to start learning. And I got into books. I started reading Bigger Pockets, and I really self-taught myself. And I was able to negotiate a really great deal with the bank, and I secured that property. And it just really got me going on building a bigger portfolio out of state. And that's what I did. Over the course of 3 years, I bought 10 houses using the BRRRR strategy. So I'd buy them, renovate them, rent them out, and then refinance out them to recover my money, and then repeat the process. The whole time I was doing that, I was able to do that because I made the wise decision to use my VA loan and buy a house. So I think really, summarizing me and my career, I took advantage of every single benefit that was given to me, using tuition assistance, using my VA loan, preparing for what's next. And now that I'm here on the other side, I'm still getting my education. I'm using my GI Bill. I'm on my third graduate degree now. It's given me a really great runway to figure out what it is that I want to do next. I didn't have to rush into a career that I didn't want. The GI Bill and the BAH here in San Diego was enough to support me. And I'm still supporting my family right now, going to school. And, my education has opened doors for me that I couldn't imagine. And it's why I'm in this seat now here at RFC Capital.
So how did your experience in the Navy shape your leadership philosophy today?
Absolutely. So, teamwork for me has always been central to everything I've done in the Navy. Relying on other people around you, expecting that they're going to have your back, that they're going to know their job and they're going to do it. It's not really the same in the civilian world. It feels like you're very much on your own in a lot of different places, in a lot of different scenarios. But I've built teams with my startup, and now I'm part of a veteran owned and operated team. So teamwork has always been important to me. And I know that the best leaders have to have other smart people around them. No one can do this by themselves. There's just so much out there, from managing my portfolio to been working for RFC Capital. I mean, we have to work as a team. Everyone has to know their role, and we have to do it well. And I think that's one lesson that I've gotten from the military is not to try and be the hero and do it all myself.
So you talk about trust. You've written that trust is the currency. How is trust earned within SEAL teams, and then how do you apply that principle to the civilian world?
Absolutely. So, for me, trust is always just doing what you say you're going to do, doing what's expected of you, but then, showing up and doing the right thing when people aren't looking. It's the integrity. It's knowing people are going to rely on you. And you prove that through your actions. It's more than words, right? So it's showing up and being accountable. That's half the battle, being on time, being in the room, making yourself present. And, little small things like that can start to earn trust. But, it does go beyond that. It's if you say you're going to be somewhere, you be there. If, you say you're going to do something, you follow through on what you say you're going to do. Because there's so many people out there that they'll pay you lip service and tell you they're going to do something, and then there's no accountability. They don't do it. So I think having that accountability builds trust. And that's how we did it in the SEAL teams. We built trust through our actions. It was built by running through all the different training scenarios, some of them extremely high risk. If the guy next to me makes a mistake, he could kill himself or he could kill me. And that's a great amount of responsibility to have. And I think a lot of us understand that in the military. And, the stakes just aren't that high in the civilian world. But the way that, you build trust, it's similar. It does translate.
So you spent most of your career working on pretty elite teams, but after retiring from the Navy, how did you navigate the identity shift from being a Navy SEAL to being an entrepreneur and an investor?
Sure. Well, I'll tell you, I'm still going through that identity shift. This is not, it's an ongoing process. I retired in May of 2024, but I feel I'm reinventing myself every day. I looked at the landscape out there. I've realized what I want out of life and what's important to me. I started by prioritizing the things that are important in my life. And to me, that's getting my time back, having time with my family, and, not spending 60 hours a week in a desk job. I've sacrificed so much over my career. I realize I'm not going to take a job for money. I'm going to follow my heart and follow my passions. So as I'm working on inventing myself, entrepreneurship, there's actually a lot of military guys that score really high in entrepreneurship, that want to take on the challenge of starting a business and operating a business. Um, so I was just naturally gravitated towards it. I mean, I was an entrepreneur before I even knew what an entrepreneur was. By right of me building a real estate portfolio and owning and operating a business and managing, agents and contractors and lenders and going through this entire process, I'm building a business, and I didn't even realize I was a business owner. And then I wake up one day, I'm like, wow, I guess this is me now. Um, you know, I think it's been a process though. I've been inventing myself I just never stop. I just pivot. I actually came to a point in my career in 2020 where I found out I wasn't going to be operating anymore. And, that was a really hard time for me, but I made the shift to reinvent myself. I finished a master degree while I was still on active duty. I started investing in real estate. I'm like, just because I'm not a SEAL anymore, just because, I'm not in this special operations, or, just because I'm getting out of the Navy, this doesn't have to define my past, doesn't define who I am. It's, the actions that I continue to take and move forward into the future.
So
I will
go ahead, Shawn.
I was also going to say, I think that identity loss is something that's common amongst just about every single service member that I've ever talked to. There's a point in time where this becomes our entire life. Our friends, the people that we're connected to. It becomes more than just a job for a lot of people. So, when they're transitioning out of the military, I think that's why suicide rates are so high. We have this idea of this is our entire life, this is our identity, and once that's stripped away, it's a really hard transition for a lot of people. So I think the more prepared you can be for that transition, the better off.
Now, you just said that you won't take a job for money, and you also talked about how veterans struggle with translating their value. So, kind of a two-part question. How do you define your value? And then what are some mistakes you've made or seen others make?
Sure. So one of the fortunate one of the fortunate things that happened for me is I got to go through a program called the Honor Foundation. And the Honor Foundation was a 3-month program, fully dedicated to helping special operations and support personnel from special operations, help them through their transition process. And the first 4 weeks of that program was focused completely on self, taking assessments and learning a little bit more about yourself, figuring out exactly what it is that you want and what's next. So it really silenced all the noise around you and gave you time to focus on the things that are important. And part of it is learning how to tell your story. Every single one of us has all these different leadership experiences and all these different moments in time throughout their military career that translate very, very well into the civilian world. You just need to learn how to tell your story. And part of that program helped us extract, 5 to 10 very meaningful moments or stories that happen throughout our career, where, if we're getting interviewed or we're having a cup of coffee or we're networking with somebody, we can go back to those core memories or those core stories and tell someone about ourselves and how we are as a leader, how we are as a teammate, how we are as an operator, whatever it may be. It's in your ability to translate, what you did in the military. And civilians don't understand a lot of the acronyms that we use. They don't, especially the ones that have never been there and never walked the walk. They don't know. So you have to break it down for them. And I believe storytelling is such a powerful tool. So did that answer your question, Ted?
Yeah, it did. Now you also write a newsletter. It's The Mission Evolves.
Yes,
I feel like that's kind of related to what we're talking about. Can you discuss that a little bit?
it is. So throughout my life, I had a lot of people tell me that I should write a book, and really for me, I started building a LinkedIn presence a couple years ago, and I started to learn the true value of LinkedIn. It's a place that is sheltered from most social media. I don't have to look at anyone's food. I don't have to, watch them go celebrate with their friends. It's like a professional networking service. And I'm able to tell my story and tell who I am and what I've been through on there, and extracting key moments and key leadership principles that have followed me throughout life. And I think those kinds of stories are exactly what I'm talking about. Someone's ability to take a moment in time or something that happened to them. I try to be real with it. I try to talk about resiliency, some of the struggles that I've had to overcome. I try not to paint myself as the hero all the time in there. But part of it's just building a brand. It's building a presence. These professional, I get reached out to all the time for my startup. I've got tons of followers and they keep growing, and there's a genuine interest. I look at this as something that I can not only pass on to my kids, but as I'm building my own value and I'm building my own brand, and I start to grow my influence and my circle of influence, anyone can go on there and get to know me, by my content that I've been putting out.
Yeah, it makes sense. So you mentioned LinkedIn. Can you talk about how important networking is? And I also want to hear your 50 cups of coffee story.
Oh yeah. So getting back to the Honor Foundation, one of the best things that I got from that program was all the networking. And this networking was not something that it just came. Like, I actually had to show up and do it. So when you get there, they challenge you to have 50 cups of coffee over the 3-month course that you're in the program. And a cup of coffee could be just a quick, 15-minute Zoom phone call with somebody. It could be actually going and meeting somebody for coffee. But what you're doing is you're forcing yourself to have these conversations. And I remember, when I first got there and I heard about this, I wanted nothing to do with it. I'm like, I don't know who these people are. I don't really want to talk to them. What's in it for me? And this is just going to be a waste of time. That was really my mindset at the time. I'm like, I just don't have time for that. Right. And once I actually started to push myself to get some of these meetings done, all of a sudden that one meeting opened up a door for another meeting. And then that next person I met introduced me to somebody that I'm playing golf with every other month at Torrey Pines. You just never really know who you're going to meet or who they know. And if you're not out there flexing the muscle, then it's never going to happen for you. So for me, it started out as an evolution that I was like forcing myself to do. I didn't want to talk to people. But as I started flexing the muscle, it was like, wow, this is actually kind of fun. I enjoy talking to people. And there's a lot of interesting people that have a lot of interesting things to say. And it just expanded my my aperture. It's opened up more opportunities for me than anything else. I've never submitted a resume. I've never submitted an application. And here I am as the director of investments at a multifamily syndicate in San Diego. And that's because of my networking. That's because I take the opportunities when they come my way. If there's a mentorship opportunity, I'm talking to the mentor. I'm finding out who he is and who he knows and, what he can do for me and what I can do for him. That's the other part of this networking. It doesn't always have to be a one-way thing where you're, when I first started doing it, was like, what does this person have for me? What does this person have for me? But then as I got used to it and I started doing it more, I realized it's more about what do you have for them? If you can offer some of your treasures, sometimes those doors get wide open. So I would say, yes, there is just an insane amount of value in networking. And if you don't like doing it, just start doing it and it gets a lot easier. And, you can help yourself out a lot by coming up with some of those stories, having some of those core stories. So if you get caught in an awkward conversation where there's nothing to talk about, you can always come back to it. Yeah.
So would you say that networking allowed you to move into areas that you didn't think you would move into?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say that, I had a pretty like one track mind. Coming out of the military, I just wanted to make money. And as I started to figure out all the things that I really wanted, like I don't need money. I need my family. I need my time back. And it was talking to all these different people about the opportunities that are out there. But also, I mean, yes, it just completely changed my mind. It was, I scored high as human resources, and I'm like, human resources? How is that possible? Like, I'm not a human resources guy. I was just a Navy SEAL sniper. And within 6 months, I have a human HR tech startup platform, and it's like, oh, look at that. Maybe the psychological profiles were right. And I wouldn't have known all that without talking to people and without, without putting the feelers out there. You got to make the first move. People want to talk to you. People want to have conversations with you. People want to hire you, but you got to make that first move. I don't know the exact statistics out there, but people that are submitting applications and going through the ATS system are just not getting hired. They're not even getting a look. They're not getting a call. They're not getting an interview. The people that are getting hired in today's day and age are the ones that have relationships. It's all about building relationships, and you're not going to be able to build relationships unless you're out there networking.
So you mentioned it a couple times. Tell us about your startup.
Sure. So when I was going through the Honor Foundation, one of the coaches that had been coaching there for the last 10 years approached me with a joint venture, and he created an assessment for people in transition. And he asked me to basically take this idea and turn it into a business. And I had no idea what I was going to do. I never was in business before. It's like I just can't. I was still in the military when he approached me. I knew real estate and I knew the military, but I had no idea what running a business would be like. So of course I said yes. When he, joint venture, asked me for a JV. I'm like, I'm going to take this challenge head on and see what happens. And from there, we started attracting other former military to the team. Created a dynamic equity split agreement. I've got former SEALs on my team now. I've got former EOD guys. I've got Army National Guard, Coast Guard. Built a team around us, got a dual PhD IO psychologist to come and help us validate the assessment. And now we have a website. We have a platform that you can go on and take an assessment, and it helps to match you to your ideal career. So you kind of touched on it a little bit when we were just talking. But really, like, to understand, Find a Fit helps you understand the kind of organization and environment where you're actually going to succeed, not just a job title that sounds good. Right. So it's about fit, not titles. Why this matters for vets. There's a lot of vets that don't fail in the civilian world because they lack skills. They struggle because they landed in the wrong environment or the wrong type of structure. So we're really looking at culture matches. And what I'd like to offer to everyone today, so anyone that's on this call, if you friend me on LinkedIn and send me a DM that you're on this call, I'll create a code that you can use, and you can go on and take this assessment for free. Our goal is to never have a veteran pay for our assessment, and we're working with other programs that meet veterans in transition. So a lot of the nonprofits that are out there, a lot of the coaching agencies, and a lot of the recruiters and placement agencies. So that's where we're trying to embed our tool. But again, our mission has always been the same, which is helping veterans through their transition process. So again, we're not going to tell you exactly what type of a job title you should have, but we can tell you what type of an organization size you're going to function in. Are you better off in a really well-structured environment, a large cap company where you're being, you work in a very defined set of guidelines, or are you more creative? Do you work better in a small business. The role and the title may be the exact same, but the actual place that you're working the environment is completely different. And that's what we've really found and extracted with our assessment.
Thanks, Shawn. I posted your LinkedIn in the chat for everybody to grab if you want to connect with him, and I also put your website on there as well, so they can check that out.
Thank you.
You've also stressed education. You were talking about that earlier and what you did during your career, and you're a graduate student now, and I believe you said you're working on your third graduate degree. Is that correct?
That's right.
What makes education so important to you?
Yes. So I would say, when I first started getting back into education, I thought that it was going to be a challenge. I thought that it was going to be like extremely difficult. I was going to be, up all night trying to write papers, and, that I was only doing it just so I could get the degree at the end. And that was really my mentality. It's like, I'm just going to suck it up and do this. But then as I started to get my education, I started to learn. I was able to take some of the stuff I was learning and apply it to life. And I noticed an incremental increase. It's like, oh, well, that actually worked out. That made a lot of sense. And as I continue my education, it became even more true. The things that I was learning, I was able to, think about past events or things that happened, like, wow, I handled that all wrong. If I would have done it this way, it really helped me kind of connect the dots from everything I had done in the military and, helping put a stamp on it with the education. I would say that, me pursuing my education post-military, I wanted to learn more about business, and there is just a ton of really great business schools and business programs out there. For me, I enjoyed learning. I enjoy getting education. It was not that difficult. Like, considering some of the stuff that I've been asked to do throughout my life, that all of you, I'm sure, have been asked to do throughout your life, getting a degree is not that hard. And it's empowering, to have that bachelor degree, to have that master degree. Not only do you get the education, but you also get the network, the school network. Depending on where you go or what program you pick, that's a whole nother avenue for people that you can connect with, people you can network. And again, you're buying yourself a runway for getting a career. If anyone on here has their GI Bill benefits available to them, if you're using your GI Bill, you're getting paid to go to school. There's so many yellow ribbon programs out there. I got to go to USC. They had this awesome program called the MBV, the Master of Business for Veterans. And I got to go there right after I retired. I got accepted into the program, and I was in class with about 65 other veterans, and they were veterans from all walks of life. There's guys in there lawyers that own their own practice, financial advisors that had professional athletes in their book of business. There's former SEALs in there, EOD, Air Force, or just everybody from all walks of life. And it was just an amazing program. We had the camaraderie. We have some of the best, cadre there at USC that money can buy. And it was an amazing experience. And all that did is open up more doors, expand my network. I got offered a trip to go out to an entrepreneur accelerator in Israel. I went through Jerusalem and Nazareth and Tel Aviv. It was just amazing, and all these opportunities, because I'm saying yes. Yes. The answer is yes, not no. Yes.
That's awesome. Looks like Miguel has a question. Go ahead, Miguel.
Yes, I know, Shawn. So, I have a question. So, I was supposed to have a job interview today, and I'm applying for this company for its Lyles Construction Group, and I was trying to go in as just as a intro safety field officer. But they seem to have created this position for me for senior safety field representative, which totally, you know, boggles my mind to because of obviously they see on my resume 22 years of service, and I've applied all my aviation fuels, safety, and all that into the equation, even though my last 7 years has been a career counselor. So I was supposed to have this interview today, and they contacted me and said, "Hey, we can't proceed." We did last week. We did a pre-interview screening, which went well. But then they said, we can't proceed because HR told us we can't do it because you haven't filled out an official application. So they've created this position, and I'm like filling in the application, but it says, "Are you applying for regular full-time work, part-time work, or temporary work, i.e., summer or internship?" Obviously, I'm trying to go as an intern. Which one should I put?
Sure. So they were getting ready to offer you a salaried position, or are you actually just trying to go in there as an intern?
I was trying to just go in as for like the internship for the skill bridge, but they're not too familiarized with the skill bridge portion. So now I'm filling out the application, and I get these 3 questions. So
See, I
should
would
I
think,
just go in for full-time work and then
Ted, you might be
tie
a better.
it?
I would think the internship would be the box to check on there, but Ted might have some more insight on that.
Well, actually, Shawn, hate to disagree, but Miguel, I would say, do you want to work for this company long term beyond the internship?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Then I would put that you're applying for a full-time position.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And if you
As
come to
part of
office hours tomorrow, we can talk
certifications.
about it more.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. Yes. I won't hit submit until I talk to you then.
All right.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Raul, you're next.
All right. Hey, Shawn.
Hey.
Fellow real estate investor here in Northern Virginia. Love the LinkedIn profile. I got really 2 questions for you. One should be really easy, and then there's another serious question after that. The really easy question is, where do you find the time to do everything that you're doing with RFC Capital, with Find a Fit, and your real estate investing gig? But really, the more serious question is, coming from special operations as a SEAL, where there's a very specific mission out there. Like, where do you find now your sense of purpose? Because the mission is now different, right? It's revenue or whatever inspires you. Like, how do you transition from that mission critical, lives are on the line, national security, to what you're doing now?
Yeah, thank you for both those questions. So where do I find time? Man, that is a great question. So I often find that I don't have enough time. I often find myself, the life of an entrepreneur. If I'm not working on my startup, then I'm working on my real estate. And if I'm not working on my real estate, I'm working at RFC. And if I'm not here at RFC, I'm in class. I like to keep my foot on the gas pedal. All of this is working with the with the end state to have more time with my family. The way it works is like this. My real estate portfolio, I try and keep it completely at an arm's length. When I was actively investing as an owner operator, it took up majority of my time. I had the military and I had my real estate portfolio that I was building. And it was a lot of stress. It was a lot of burden. I can't tell you, so much heartache through investing in real estate. It's definitely not all sunshine and rainbows there. But once I got to about 2023, I stopped buying more properties. The numbers stopped penciling out for me, and it wasn't a very good environment for me to continue to grow my portfolio in. So I stopped where I was. I'm like, I'm going to manage this. I'm going to maintain it. With my real estate, I have a property management company. I pay property managers to manage, but I still have to manage the managers. But, I would say that only takes up 10% of 5%, 10% of my time. I try and keep all of that as far away as I can. It's just an investment. As far as my startup goes, I'm putting in about 10 to 15 hours a week into my startup. And then I have a really great deal here at RFC Capital because I am my own boss. I report only to the owner, and they gave me an office. They gave me an assistant. I can be here in the office if I want, or I can stay home if I want. So I've created my schedule around my kids' schedule. I come into the office Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, sometimes Thursday, depending on if I have stuff going on. And then I dedicate mostly every Thursday or Thursday afternoon, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to my family. And that works out. My Mondays and Tuesdays are crazy. They start at 9 a.m. and they don't end until 9 p.m. when I get out of school. And that's that extra burden that I've taken on going to school. But again, that extra school is extra money for me, and it's helping support my life, and it's helping me have this runway. So I am fighting and clawing to get ahead in this life, and time is sometimes what I have to sacrifice. But I do everything by calendar. I have to have appointments, and at some point, I have boundaries. I set boundaries. After this time, it's my family time. So that's really it. I dedicate the time I have fully to what I'm doing when I'm doing it, and then everything else is my family. As far as your second question goes, going from special operations, being part of a tight-knit community, kicking in doors, jumping out of planes, shooting guns all the time, just high speed, fast living. I'll tell you, it wears you out. It's really hard on your body. It's hard on your family. It's hard on a lot of things. So not everyone's like me, but for me, when I got towards the end of the career, it almost felt like a relief. I learned a lot of lessons, and I take a lot of that mentality with me as I go through life. I think about all the hard stuff that I've had to overcome, all the challenges I've had to overcome to get to where I am. But really, how I find purpose and how I found passion is I've been creating my own mission. I'm not sitting back and letting someone else dictate my life for me. I'm taking this bull by the horns and doing everything I can to put myself and my family in the best position possible. And I'm not just sitting back on my heels waiting for it to come to me. I'm out there getting after it every single day. So that's, I think creating my own mission, and that being centered around my family and wanting to create enough wealth and passive income so I don't have to worry about money, and neither do my kids.
Thanks, Shawn. I appreciate that. That's very vulnerable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric, you got a question?
Hey, Shawn, what's going on? How are you?
Good. How's it going, Eric?
Appreciate it again today. I just sent you myself my LinkedIn on your side, but mine are two different questions, so I'm going to kind of play two sides of it if you don't mind.
Sure.
One side of it is this: when it comes to certifications, right? When it comes to certifications, what would be your best? What type of information would you give somebody without who doesn't chase certifications? Because I've seen people who get them just to get them. Right? Hey, I'm just gonna get this to get it. What would be your idea? What would be the thing you would tell someone about when it comes to getting certifications instead of just chasing the ones because they just see it out there as I gotta go get it? That's one question. The second question is this: in the job structure you have now, removing family, right? Just removing the family portion of it. What part of the job itself makes your heart beat?
Perfect. So I'll answer the first question. So as far as certifications go, I would say that certifications can be a very, very powerful tool. The only caveat to that is I would say before wasting your time just getting a bunch of random ones, you should understand the career field that you're going to go into, right? So if I was going to be in construction and I wanted to manage construction projects, I'm going to focus my time probably getting a PMP, like a project management professional, right? If I'm planning on staying in and going in cybersecurity, maybe I'm making that transition into cybersecurity. There's a lot of really basic level certifications you can get that will absolutely open doors for you. I think when people are chasing after, just trying to pile up their certs, anyone that's doing that, I would say maybe they're going after the easier ones or the ones that applied to the job that they did in the military. There's a lot of certs out there that wouldn't be that challenging for any service member to get because they've already been through it. They've been through some type of a maintenance procedure. They've been through some type of an inspection. They understand how all of this works. So, the certification is just kind of a stamp saying I did it. Now, there's also a lot of organizations out there that are looking for something. If you don't have the degree, they want to see that you have that certification. It's a signal to them that you're making that extra effort. So I don't necessarily recommend just chasing them to chase them. However, if there's an easy one out there to get or easy couple that might apply to the career field you're going for, there's a ton of free resources out there. I know Jai Salters has a really good one. If you've never heard that name, Jai Salters, I can't recall the exact name of his program, but they have all tons of free certifications if you're a veteran. And you can look him up on LinkedIn and reach out. So what makes my heart beat? I love, like I said, I love education, and I've been very fortunate that I went through that MBV program and got to spend all that time with a lot of veterans. That was great. And now I'm in another program here at USD, and guess what? I've got 8 to 10 other vets in the class. And, sometimes after class, we go out and we grab a beer and we just cut loose. And I feel like I still have that camaraderie. And I've kind of found that through school. But work-wise, career-wise, I feel like I've found myself in the perfect role here as director of investments. And part of that is because I'm dealing with, I get to talk to people every single day. I'm talking to brokers. I'm talking to the owner. I'm talking to my assistant. I'm analyzing a new deal every single day. I'm looking at multi-million-dollar properties. One might be 5, the next one might be 7, and I'm going in and it's a new challenge. It's a new way to go through it. I get to go out and walk these properties. So it's using my creativity. It's being able to show up to the office and do work at the office when I want, or I could just do it from home. I don't have someone breathing down my neck, holding me to, I'm very creative in this role. I have extremely far left and right lateral limits because I've built that trust. And I've built that trust with the owner just in a short amount of time by showing up and doing the job. So I think having that freedom, having that autonomy, being in a workplace, it's veteran owned and veteran operated. I get, they get me, I get them. So it makes my heart beat. And then same thing with my startup. We know that we're working towards a bigger mission, and we want our tool in taps. We want guys to be able to have access to every transition resource available because we know how hard it is. I've been through it. I know I'm still going through it. And it seems like it's only getting harder with AI. More and more jobs are drying up, more and more roles are drying up. Different industries are starting to see it. It's not like they're going to take over everything. There's just going to be a shift. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did, Shawn. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And thanks, Shawn. And I think you've mostly already answered this, but can you give us some more insight on RFC Capital? You talked about your role, but can you talk a little bit more about the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So RFC Capital, the owner, Henry Russell, named it after his children. He's a former naval officer. They started investing here in San Diego. They've currently have 35 multifamily properties. They are a syndication. So what they do is they raise money for larger real estate deals. And if you guys have ever heard of, what is it? It's not Bigger Pockets. It's active duty passive income, ADPI. It's another great resource, but there's groups out there that talk about real estate, and they talk about how you can build wealth through real estate. And our syndication uses active duty passive income, ADPI, to bring on new clients, bring on new investors. And my job is to make sure that I'm not losing investors' money. So most of the investors here at RFC Capital are smaller investors. They're 25,000, 50,000, maybe 100,000, and most of them are active military, former military, or associated with the military in some way. And again, the owner is a former officer, and then we've got 2 other retired Marines here, and now myself. So veteran owned, veteran operated. They have 165 million under management right now, 35 properties. And again, as I'm looking to now acquire new properties, it's not lost on me that it's my responsibility to make sure that I'm buying the right deals, that we're making the right offers, because it's other veterans' money that we could lose, right? So I have to approach my job like I'm not just going after a sale for the commission, right? Because I have a commission tied to anything that we get under contract, but I'm not looking at it like, oh, look how much money I can make. I'm thinking about it like, wow, if I mess this up, I can lose a lot of money for a lot of good people. So, I think that's why I am the right person for this job.
Can you talk about the culture at the company?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So they have a lot of, so the owner actually lives in Baltimore, but he comes in and flies in once a month. It's very, very open. They gave me my own office space, my own assistant to work with, but everyone is very friendly. We have daily meetings based on whatever department that you break up in. But the owner, he's a religious man and has a lot of integrity and a lot of like strong values. So you get that when he's talking to everybody, he talks to everyone. Everyone talks to each other with a lot of respect here. We're on a very professional and friendly level here. I think everyone feels that they can operate in their own lane. And I think it's a culture built on trust. It really is. There's a lot of trust in this office that people are going to do the right thing, and they know their roles, and they're going to do them well. So there's almost no micromanagement that happens at all. And it's beautiful. It's something unlike I've experienced in the past being in the military, for sure.
Thanks, Shawn. Anthony, you got a question?
Oh, yeah. So can you explain your company? Are you guys the same? Is it similar to the REITs, or are you guys different? And can you elaborate the difference?
Sure. Yeah. So a real estate investment trust is going to be a publicly traded. All right. So if you want to invest in a real estate investment trust, what you're doing is you're putting a lot of money into a larger portfolio or a fund, if you will, a trust fund. And that fund is going to go out and it's going to invest in other real estate assets. So you're really, if you're investing in a REIT, you're investing in a trust fund in a way, real estate investment trust. With a syndication, your investment is tied to each individual deal. So the way it would work, once we get a property under contract, we have an offer accepted, we will build an investment package around that offer. Hey, here's the deal. Here's what we intend to do. And what our company does, they've developed over 200 ADUs just in the last couple of years. So they're doing a lot of micro unit conversions. So what we'll do is we'll put the package together. Here's the address. Here's the 3 ADUs that we're going to add. Here's the increase in net operating income. It shows you step by step. Here's all the cost, and then it shows you your returns at the end. So we would typically ask for like a 2-year investment. So you're giving your money for 2 years, but you're making 14% APR on it. So 14% is not bad. It's not bad at all. You just have to be willing to commit it for 2 years. And again, that's going to be tied to the specific project, where the REIT would be just an, you're putting your money in a portfolio, and that's just going to go and invest in a lot of different assets. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, you definitely answered my question. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Shawn, thank you so much for your time today. One last question. If you could go back and have a 5-minute conversation with yourself on the day you decided to retire and leave the military, what would you say to yourself, and what would you want everybody in this room to hear from that message?
Sure. I would say to myself, hang in there, be patient, but make sure you go out and network more. I think I would say the networking absolutely changed my life. Talking to people, getting to know people, learning about new opportunities that I would have had no idea about if I was just sitting on my couch. Whether that's going to events, going to mixers, going to dinners, going to anything you can, reaching out, calling people, network.
Awesome. Thanks, Shawn. For everybody in the room, again, his LinkedIn profile is in the chat, so make sure you grab that. And we appreciate all your advice.